clarify this so there is no confusion. And it's kind of commonsensical. You understand what's going on here. And we are integrating. Looks like it's successful. This video from earlier shows a designation or denotation of week 30. And then, of course, just to keep it in consecutive order, this will air today because I'm going to publish it immediately after I finish this live session. But of course, it's not going to be on a different week. And this is, of course, just a catch up, so it will read week 31 for obvious reasons, even though it's happening on the same day, same outfit, same fresh face. I think I had on lipstick earlier. So that's the main way you'll be able to tell the difference between the two. But, you get where I'm going. Okay, so I'm going to say hello. Hello. Hello, all. Back for this evening session. Feel free to join the conversation. All right. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to head on over to let's see here. I think I lost something. What did I lose? Uh-oh. There we are. Uh-oh, not that one. Here we go. Here's my Zoom. Give me 1 second to get everything in place here. Okay. You can see all my wonderful, really not all that important emails right now. All right. And we're here, but we are through Zoom on not this one. Here's the other one. Asa, not so loud. Okay, here we are. I've lost my, oh goodness. Let's see here. Give me 1 second, please, to ensure that I can share. Oh, there is no confusion. And it's kind of common sense. I'm trying to find my login. I hope I haven't closed it so that I can. No, we're not doing a post attendee. Come on now. We're here. We're in the meeting. It's not giving me. Okay, we may have to start over. Let's see. I'm hoping not. You try one other place. I thank you in advance for your patience. Let's see if I can find where we need to be. Yeah, my Zoom controls are not showing, so it's definitely throwing me off. And that's not good. Post attendee Zoom. No, I don't need to do that. Watch now. I don't know. I am rather shocked. Okay, give me one more second. Let me see. I'm determined. There we go. All right. I lost my controls there for a second. Okay, so now let me integrate and share the screen. Okay. And boom and boom. Here we go. Okay. And let's get another window open, excuse me, for Idaho State Legislature. And we're going to continue our conversation and continue our survey of Idaho. Okay, so here we go. We have already surveyed the Senate. That's what we did earlier today. And now we're going to survey the House. Again, with this picture, Idaho. This picture is so concerning, right? Especially for people, melanated individuals like myself, or diasporan, Native Americans, you know, Latin Americans, it can be a little unsettling. Okay. So equally, we have a Republican majority, which we already anticipated through our scientific assumption, right? So Republicans 58, Democrats 12, 47 men, and 23 women. Now, this is pretty good in one regard, considering the dynamic of the state of Idaho, right? We know that it is in an area where regionally you're going to have a Caucasian predominance, right? And more than likely in leadership, you're also going to have a predominance of Caucasian males. So this is neck and neck. This is half and half, right? Basically. And so that's really good, especially when you're talking about the House, because as we have gone over, the House represents the part of the legislative body per state and even at the federal level that should be more connected to the people's consensus, right? And so equally, it stands to reason that it should also reflect in that diversity the intention of having leaders who are connected to the people and reflect that in the membership, right? In the roster. So considering the fact that we know there's a predominance of Caucasian people in that arena, the diversity that we're going to see is mainly going to be connected to gender, right? Maybe gender and age. So we can look for that as we scroll down to see if it does connect with that. And earlier today, I said that we were not going to take a look at the census for the breakdown demographically, but I think we will go ahead and visit the census just to see Native American tribes, Latin American population there, African American population, just to, you know, it doesn't hurt. You know, we know that there's a predominance, but it doesn't hurt to just get an idea of other representation in that area, right? Even if it's not in the legislative body. And this, again, is part of the reason for this survey, right? Because at the end of the day, your leadership should reflect your citizenship, right? And even if it's literal, and what I mean by that is that if there's 1% African American, then we should have at least one legislator in the House and in the Senate that represents that body of people. Now, hold on. I can hear people yelling from the back saying, wait, but not all of us think alike and not all of us are on the same page. And I agree, because there is a proverbial code. There's a proverbial Black code, and there are proverbial codes with every ethnic background, right? And yes, unfortunately, we have seen a lot more. There has been a lot more of the unveiling of individuals who look like me ethnically, right? And they are not on code, honey. They are not on code. They can't be farther away from the code than they are now. Okay. Polar opposite. Oh, over there. Okay. So, yet and still, it's relevant to take a survey, see what's going on, so we can know what changes need to be made. And that's mostly connected with common sense, and then compounded with academia. So some of you have heard of the SWOT analysis. So you got your SW, OT, your strengths, weaknesses, your opportunities and threats, right? And this is what we need to look into and see, you know, how we can implement a more perfect union. And this implementation plan, this strategic implementation, which is part of my doctoral study. And it is a really good way. Now, commonsensically, if you just look at it like, again, strengths and weaknesses are very commonsensical terms. So those we got. Then you're like, well, what do you mean opportunities and threats, right? It just means how can we improve upon our already established system? That's opportunities, right? Because once you know your strengths and weaknesses, you then have further insight into how you can improve upon it, right? And then your threats are like, what would make this not work? What would make our plan not come to fruition, homie, right? And so that's what we're looking at here. And so knowing that makeup, and specifically so, and knowing the demographics by going to the census for every state, it is relevant. The information we find is relevant and again, provides us that deeper look so that we know exactly what is the makeup there, population-wise, ethnicity, age, gender, or now the census, the demographics that we've been pulling up, it doesn't provide us information on the non-binary reflection. It doesn't provide us information on the LGBT community. But it does provide us information in those other areas that are of importance. And of course, they're under these other subgroups are included. And I'm only using subgroups not to gradate, but to just, give the literal denotation of it. And of course, I'm pretty sure that the LGBT community and individuals who feel that they are disenfranchised are working very, very hard on getting that identification by the census, because it does matter. All these things matter because they are huge determinants in how policy is made, okay? And it is rooted in equity, rooted in a purpose driven toward equity. If you're not represented, how is someone going to include you in their policy making if they don't know that you're there? So it's important. It really is important. Now, there's a flip side to every coin, as I've told you. And this is the reason, again, for this survey. The individuals who are in office, who are motivated with corruption, they can use the census to discriminate against us, right? Discriminate against all of these, different subgroups, ethnic groups, gender identity groups, LGBTQ+, all these things, disability. My son falls into that category. I do too, even though our disabilities do not present visually. Like if you saw us, then people would assume that we don't have a disability, but there are disabilities that don't present visually. We both have the eosinophilic condition that I've spoken out about, many times before. So it's very relevant that those are also included in the census and also reflected in the legislative body. We have yet to see those who are that have a disability well represented in public office. And we know that because there's a long-standing scarlet D, if you will, scarlet letter that goes along with individuals who have a disability serving in office. We know that because there were presidents who succumbed to whatever medical condition they were experiencing and thereby became quote unquote disabled or had diminished capacity. And we know from historical accounts and documentaries and all Netflix specials and all that stuff, that those individuals, that their administration concerted efforts to hide, right? To conceal their disabilities. So we know that it's not something that is celebrated. My goodness, right? We know it's not even something that is preferred. And so these are things that need to change. They have to change in order for us to get to a more perfect union. And this is where we're starting, building upon those ideologies, even as far back as what Thomas Jefferson proposed, and building upon those to get to where we deserve to be as a people, because we should not be under the force of a constitution that was written 1776, right? And here we are. And don't at me, because I know it was written before and then ratified and all the changes and all that. You know what I'm talking about. Okay. All right. So here we are. Republicans 58, Democrats 12, men 47, women 23. So let's take a look. So we don't need to count like we normally do. Again, we appreciate this from the website. We appreciate it visually. I'm very surprisingly impressed by what I have seen thus far, except of course from this picture right here. Idaho. Yeah, okay. All right, let's go. And then of course the Republican majority it's unsettling for, African Americans generally. Okay, so here we go. Let's see. So we're looking at what we expected initially. Okay, Democrat here. So these are women, Republican. So we're taking a deeper look, if you're following me, to see the 23 individuals who are represented. Are they all Democrats? We can have an expectation, because it's just logical rationale, that maybe not all the women who are elected officials are Democrats, right? That's not a tough, conclusion to draw. But let's hope that most of them are. Oh, yes. Look at here. We've got Sue Chu as a Democrat, looking good here. And I don't mean, I mean looking good in the sense of that we're glad to see her there, right? Let's see, she's got a certificate of recognition for Latino families with children and adults with developmental disabilities. We were just talking about this. Yeah, there was a reason that I had to come this way. She's a fellow scientist, it looks like. She's got a degree in biology and natural resources, and her pharmacy doctorate, really cool. 2003 Women Making History Award, very, very cool. Idaho Federation of Families for Children's Mental Health. 2014 Idaho Democratic Party Legislator of the Year. Like, this is awesome. Okay, Idaho. Okay. All right, so we have Muffy Davis here, Democrat. Oh, that's so cool. I thought I recognized her name. 7-time Paralympic. We know what that means, right? Paralympic Games medalist in 2 sports, alpine skiing and cycling. You better do it. Professional speaker, previously employed in healthcare development, elected member of International Paralympic Committee Governing Board. Okay, before I continue on, I'm going to go to it so that, because we don't all know the same things at the same time, right? We don't. So let's just go and Paralympic, right? Paralympic Games. So we're all there. Most are familiar, some are not, okay? And let's see. Let's see their mission vision. I've never looked up their mission vision, so let's see if we can find it. Development. Because I want to read it directly from their words as opposed to me paraphrasing. Let me see. Results, videos, mascots, opening ceremony, events, classification, news, athletes. Okay, let's go this way. I thought they would list their vision mission. I'm a little shocked that I don't see a vision mission. Not my first choice, but we'll go ahead to Wiki. Because Wiki should, actually give you a full definition at the very least, okay? And they do. So it's a periodic series of international multi-sports events involving athletes with a range of physical disabilities, including impaired muscle power, impaired passive range of motion, limb deficiency, leg length difference, short stature, hypertonia, ataxia. I'm not sure what this is. Athetosis, which is characterized, cerebral palsy, characterized by slow, involuntary, convoluted writhing in movements of the fingers, hands, toes, and feet, and in some cases, arms, legs, neck, and tongue. Okay. All right, go back. Visual impairment and intellectual impairment. Okay, so that's what's up. So here we go. And so do you realize, because I'm talking about these things prior to it actually coming up. So intuitively, we're on the right path. I feel like I'm living in my purpose, and I hope that you see it. I hope that you will join in, because it's not the Tigress show at all. This is something that has been heavy on my heart. I've always been the type person to want to bring people together. I feel very happy about the fact that I have been considered a really good mediator amongst friends and colleagues. And I like that. Jokingly, I'm even referred to as a translator, because I speak many different languages. I speak science fluently, right? I speak economist fluently. I speak black, fluently. I speak, I know that people talk about kind of switching code or code switching or whatever. I don't consider it code switching. Don't at me, because I understand. And see, this is my point. Because of the versatile nature of my academia and my professional experiences, I can relate. And, the empathy is not only just empathy, because oftentimes I've actually, and that's what empathy is, but sometimes it can be a passive empathy. Like, I didn't experience it, but I understand you. For me, oftentimes it is it's an active empathy. Like, for instance, having experienced prison. So I have an active empathetic disposition for those who are in prison, or have been at some point in their life, or those who have been convicted or wrongfully convicted, those with a felony conviction, whether merited or wrongful. I can not only just relate, like I've been there, done that. So I get it. And I feel like I'm definitely in my purpose. So let's head on back over there. So this is awesome. I don't want to just highlight her for this reason, because when you talk about being considerate of people, right? And being, actively and passively empathetic, as individuals who have a disability that cannot be seen, and thereby being in the group, the group of person or the class of persons that would be considered to have a federally recognized disability. You don't want your disability to be the first thing that people notice or talk about all the time. You know what I mean? And these are sensitive topics, and it can be especially sensitive when you're talking about whether your disability presents visually or not, because there's this gradation that goes on with whether your disability can be seen, it visually presents or not. And that somehow that if your disability can't be seen, that you are better than, quote unquote. And that is a very disdainful mindset. And it's very injurious. And we need to pull from the deepest part of our ability to be empathetic and understand that it can be very hurtful. The same way that there's the gradation in the LGBT community where, and I've heard this many times, like there are literally some in that community that feel that if a gay man presents himself more feminine as opposed to a gay man presenting more masculine or less flamboyant, then somehow the more feminine and more flamboyant like gay man is somehow lesser than. And that can be very, very hurtful, very, very injurious. And you have to understand those things. And we're not talking about menstrualization, because that's different. There are definitely flip sides of the same coin. It's like a positive exploitation and a negative exploitation. So there is you out here acting a damn fool and, showing your whole ass, and being feminine are two different things. They are, right? And we understand all those things. We understand the dynamic between those. So whereas I want to highlight her and celebrate her, I'm going to do it in such a way that is respectful and considerate. And I'm going to, like I told you earlier, and just kind of post the legislative body, because I was led here intuitively today and I see why. And I am impressed to see that there is evidence of progressive change in Idaho that I would not naturally expect to see in this region with Caucasian male predominance, right? Okay, so this is awesome. This is just awesome. And this is why I invite you to engage and, and really, really dive into this process and be aware, because we need you. You see, I can't run for every office in the United States and serve in all of those offices simultaneously, right? And there are lots more people who are on the right side of justice. Some of you are watching right now, or will be watching this video in the near future or the distant future. We need you to run for office. One day, as much as I would like to be eternal, that would be really cool. I mean, I'm a scientist, so, hey, that would be super cool. The reality is that it may not be likely. Now, I know, and don't at me, because I know there are scientific advances that say that there are humans right now who are walking the earth who will effectually live eternally, with the robotics and the advancements in what is it? cyber technology or cyborgs and stuff like that. So it should be very interesting. But the point I'm making is that we those of us who are fighting the good fight, we're going to need individuals who will, take that colloquial and proverbial baton from us when we pass it, and will keep the good fight alive, right? All right, so here we go. So Republican woman, these are Republicans, okay. Democrat there. Let's look, John Gannon. So it looks like we have a licensed attorney, okay. Active leader in Medicaid initiative, that's good. Okay, I'll keep going. And I'm not just skipping over the Republicans because I don't think that they're important. Don't do that either. We're just, in the hour that we have, we can't do the in-depth study that I really want to do. And I've told you many times as a scientist, exploratory studies to establish the relevance of a subject matter for study and also substantiate future studies, boom, and iterative studies, boom, this is what we're doing here, right? Okay, so Brooke Green, let's see who Brooke is. Master's degree, communication, marketing, technology, certified professional community economic developer. Wow, just so much aptitude. It's just beautiful. Served as chairperson of Boise City Open Space and Clean Water Advisory Committee. 2018 Women of the Year by Idaho chapter of Women in Transportation. This is awesome. It's awesome. All right, keep going. Not to pass over the young lady here. So it's another woman in the legislative body, more women. Here we go. Okay, more Republicans. Let's keep it going. All right, Democrat here, Chris Mathias. I cannot easily identify his race. He actually looks like he might be an African American. Let's see what we got here. U.S. Coast Guard. Let me define this. All right, and let's get back to, give me 1 second here. Uh-oh. Where we at? Uh-oh, hold on 1 second. If you haven't realized, when I get a phone call, it will boot out my control panel, so I can't see what we're doing, but I'm gonna go back to it now. Okay, here we go. All right, Criminal Justice Administration, a McNair Scholar, that's really cool, student body president. Like I said, a Coast Guard veteran with top secret clearance, the Arctic Service Medal, and 2 Antarctic Service Medals, very, very cool. Former Chief Academic Officer for the Idaho State Board of Education, former U.S. Senate Law Clerk, recipient of multiple civilian awards. That's awesome, including the Governor's Commendation for Distinguished Public Service and Idaho Business Review's Accomplished 40 Under 40. Past and present volunteerism includes Boise State's School of Public Service Advisory Council and the Ada County, I believe that's how it's pronounced, Veterans Treatment Court, and author of multiple articles about incident management and emergency preparedness in Idaho. Awesome. He's married with 2 children, so it doesn't really speak on his ethnicity, but it looks like he might be ethnically diverse. So that's a good thing. Okay. All right. And he's young. So again, we have the age diversity that we're trying to look for. We have the ethnic diversity that we're looking for, and the gender diversity, right? And the perspectives there, where they stand on the issues. We want to see that diversity as well. We want to see the diversity that matches, being on the right side of justice. Okay, so this gentleman here, he looks like he could possibly not be Caucasian. I don't know how well this translates on your screen, but let's see if there's any evidence context-wise of his ethnicity. Not ethnicity, but what do we talk about? There's other diversity. And it points out that his husband is Dave Navarro. So that's the ethnicity that we're looking for as well. This is why I was supposed to come over here. Okay, Idaho. Okay, Idaho. I didn't even think that I was going to. Oh, honey. Maybe we need to move to Idaho. Maybe we need to get on. Oh, honey. Okay. It's a step in the right direction. Now, I'm not going to go that far. I'm not moving to Idaho, but I am very, very pleasantly impressed at seeing the clear evidence of the transformation we are seeking. Okay. Yeah, so there's not one person to highlight. And there's not really, I can't do oh goodness. It doesn't give, and I don't want to highlight him just for that either. We have to be very, very conscientious of those things, because you don't want to expose people to trolls and all that nonsense. But please tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend to watch this video and make this, y'all, this is what we're talking about here. It can be done. All right, so here, music education. And he was the salutatorian for his high school, master's in instructional and performance technology. Very cool. And a Juris Doctor. See that lunch, we could do lunch, and with the senator too. Remember I told you about the senator in the early, we all could do lunch, honey. Yes, we could. We could do lunch. Because there's an Elle Woods in all of us, honey. Yes, it is. And this is no diss to Elle Woods, but how people will say, well, I'm the Black version of Elle Woods. I tell people just lovingly, hey, honey, Elle Woods is the white version of Tigress McDaniel. How about that? And I think she would find great humor in that, the actress that plays that role. But nonetheless, okay. You better get it with your Juris Doctor. That's what I'm talking about. Named as a 2013 and 2018 top political activist by National Education Association, 2014 Community Catalyst Award, Fund for Idaho, 2015, Jose Julio Sarria Civil Rights Award. So that gives us an indication if he's fighting for, let's look it up. Instead of assuming, let's go on over here. Let me remember the name, Jose Julio Sarria. Okay, and I'm not very good at rolling my tongue, so don't at me about that. Don't do it, because I can't. Just lift up a prayer for me. That's all you got to do. Just lift up a prayer. Ain't nobody asked you to do nothing else. Just lift up a prayer. And that's all you got to do. Okay? I'm working on myself. All right, let's see here. And wait. So and look at there. And we understand why. So not only, when we talk about those double minorities, right? Like myself, gender-wise, African American, and then there are all these other kind of imagined communities to which I belong, and proudly so, being of Haitian descent, being of Cherokee descent. Yeah, there's a lot, there's a lot to unpack. So he was, let's see here, also known as the Grand Mirror. He was an American drag queen. Looks like he served in the United States military. Let's see here. He was a political activist from San Francisco and became the first openly gay candidate for public office in the United States. That's really cool. Really cool. And see, these are the things that we don't hear about. Now, I think that we will highlight this instead of kind of making, what's his name? Let's go back to it. Instead of making John, kind of like the point of this all, I think that he would appreciate that we highlight Julio Sarria, because I didn't know about him. I didn't know about him until now, and I can't possibly know everything. And again, hopefully this will inspire you all to then take a deeper dive into your legislative culture for your state, because it's your business. Mm-hmm. It's your business. Let me get in your face. I know you didn't think you were going to see all of the crevices today, but here, all the facial crevices, right? It's your business. It's your business. Okay. All right. So let's see. Let's come out of here. I am so excited about this one that I'm just going to go ahead. I don't want to post the Wikipedia, so we're going to go with Britannica. Let's see. The online encyclopedia, a little more reputable than Wikipedia. Okay, and then you can kind of go from there, and we'll get a picture from the somewhere. Let's grab that, boom and boom. Let's go over here. I gotta hop around to browsers, but it's okay. Like I said, I ain't perfect. I'm not perfect. You just, lift me up in prayer. Real, don't do no crazy woo-woos prayer. Like just, show me some love now. Okay, hold on. Let me move over here. Some of y'all looking like, Tigress got guns like that? I do. I do. I do. Don't get it twisted. Wait, I'm trying to figure out what am I doing? Yeah. It normally lets me go on over. Give me a second. Hold on. I'm trying to go to the pages and stuffs. There we go. Pages and stuffs. Pages and stuffs. Pages and stuffs. Okay, here we are. Switch. Okay, that's like Will Smith's. Switch. All right. Okay, let's paste this here. All right, does it give a picture of him? No. So let's add a picture. We only got 15 minutes, so let me get my life here up. Say, I'm tripping. Why you, girl, you tripping? Just give me a second. Give me a second. All right, let's go back over here to here. Let's do this, go back. I am so pleasantly impressed. I don't even know which picture he would want. I wonder. I have no clue, but I'm just going to take I'm going to take this one. Because I think he would want us to take that picture. I think he would. I think he would say, you know what? That's the picture I want. I think that's what he said. All right, Sarria. I'm just going to put it on my desktops because I know y'all are not interested in watching that process. And then come on back over here to Facebook. and add his picture. Going here, going to the desktop. We're going here in his uniform, looking all debonair and dreamy and all the things. Okay, boom and boom. That's awesome. That's awesome. That's awesome. I'm not going to add no products. I'm not going to add no product tags because it's just not in good taste. I taught etiquette, honey. I got this. Okay, so let me see. Let's go back over to Safari. This is so cool. This was just so enlightening. And I like it better when I get to learn through this process. It's not as much fun to go to a state website and not be improved upon, knowledge wise. You know what I mean? Like I needed to know this stuff. This is amazing. I would not have assumed any of this. And not just on some stereotypical stuff, just because of what we know these regions to produce and the predominance, right? So even where, yes, there is a predominance of white male, go back to the picture, Idaho. Even, because this is, when most of us hear Idaho, we either think about, and let's just say it, let's talk about the elephant in the room. We think of potatoes. And maybe some people have a warm and fuzzy feeling because they think, oh, French fries and baked potato and potato skins, right? Right. And I'm not being funny. I'm not trying to be minstrel or none of those things. We're just this is serious stuff. And then the other thought we immediately have is this picture. Yep. So this was wonderful. And I hope that you feel the same. All right, let's keep going in our last 10 minutes here. All right, we got a woman here. That's awesome. I know, Republican, but y'all already know the deal. Okay, so, all right, Colin Nash. His name sounds familiar too. He also graduated from Concordia University School of Law, Weber State University. He's an estate planning attorney. That actually is a field of law that I want to practice, right? This is really cool. He's married, he's got 2 children. His wife is an educator. Very cool, okay? And he's on the Appropriations, Environment, Energy, and Technology, and Judiciary Rules and Administration. All right, we've got another woman Democrat here, Lauren Necochea. I hope I didn't butcher the name. And she is the assistant minority leader. They're doing some exemplary stuff over here in Idaho. The Democrat, I need water. I need water now. Give me a second, I'm coming back. They got me choked up. Honey, they got me choked up in a good way. Friends. Y'all, we're on week 30 something. I have not been this taken aback by any state's legislative culture thus far, including my own state, which Lord, why are you praying for me? Go and pray for North Carolina as well, okay? And none of the voodoo prayers, unless the voodoo is the positive. Don't have me out there on the campaign trail talking to myself and stuff. You see what I'm saying? Don't do that. And I'm Haitian, so I can say these things, right? Okay, look. I'm telling you, this is good information. Okay. A fellow economist. Yeah. Okay. Master of Public Affairs from Princeton University. Idaho Next Generation Leadership Board Chair, Fulbright Fellow, Annie E. Casey Foundation's Leadership Institute for state-based advocates. I'm going to look that up. I'm not really familiar with that foundation, but I'm going to look at that. Idaho Business Review's accomplished 40 honoree in 2014. Idaho Business Review Women of the Year honoree, also in 2014. Environmental Leadership Program fellow 2009. She's married, 2 children. You know what? Okay, so Annie E. Casey. If I find something else amazing, I can't. And I'm saying it in a good way. You know how sometimes we say the opposite of a thing to celebrate and show the emphasis of how much we love a thing. I cannot. And Annie E. Casey Foundation. Kids Count, that comes up initially. All right, so what's this foundation about? It looks like a nonprofit, so they should have their mission and vision, front and center. Our history, our leadership. Okay, let's scroll. Our work focuses on strengthening families, building stronger communities, and ensuring access to opportunity, diversity. We advance research and solutions to overcome the barriers to success. We help communities demonstrate what works and influence decision makers to invest in strategies based on solid evidence. Now I see why we need to go to lunch, because this is neck and neck with the research that I am proposing. Do you see what I'm saying? You see what I'm saying? Yeah. We're gonna go highlight them as well. Okay, let's get on over here, post this. Go ahead now. All right. Y'all, all joking aside, this is my why. I'm literally choked up in both ways, emotionally and professionally and literally. This is why. This is my why. This is my why. This is my why. I really, really hope to inspire you all to join me in this process. This is the good work we need to do. And I am going to go out on a limb and assert that arguably we can impact even the coldest of Republican views, mindsets. Because again, remember, there are Republicans who don't share a disdain discriminatorily against diverse ethnic groups. They just have more traditional viewpoints. We can all get on the same page. It's possible. I believe it's possible. I believe it's possible. I do. I even believe, like when I hear the Tower of Babel story, I always, as a little girl, my grandmother, she'd read Revelations, Proverbs, and then the Prophets book. She was very huge on it. And so when I read about the Tower of Babel, that anecdote, that story always resonated with me in a different way. Very early in to the ideas on starting my own business and how, when, where, what, right? One of the first of my subsidiary concepts that I thought of was restaurants above par. Restaurants above. sorry, restaurants and bars above par. And in that was a project called Pangea. And I envisioned it not as a restaurant, not as this physical location that you go to like you would a traditional restaurant and you go to the same location, but more like this event that is hosted very similarly to what I've seen in recent years. Because when I started the conceptualization of my business, we're talking about like 1998, after I had graduated college, 1999, and my master's program around that era. And so eventually it came into fruition in 2004, 2005. And but now in recent years, in this last decade, and I so much enjoyed it with Charles and Ruth out of Greensboro, North Carolina. Well, they're not originally, I don't think they're originally from Greensboro, North Carolina. Don't at me. I don't remember where they're from. I did spend a lot of time with them, so I should know, but I don't. But they were really, really great people. They actually had a really good theatrical production company, if you will, the Peculiar People. And it was just my jam, because you all know that I also have MFA study and love theater. I was raised in that, in the arts. And the point I'm making here is that, like, so what they had was called the Grub. And so they invited people intentionally from different ethnic and just general diversity, like I said. So it could be age diversity, it could be talent diversity, gender, LGBT community, just boom, put everybody in one place under the premise that if we break bread together and we actually chit chat, that we'll find out that we have a lot more in common than we do not have in common. And so Pangea was very much so for that purpose. And so what I used to do, some of you may have attended some of my functions, who knows, back in the day. And even I say the most recent culturally infused event that I put on was backed by, I really appreciate. And when I say backed, I don't mean like financially, I don't want to say endorsed, but he agreed with, celebrated, and even attended. And he attended after having surgery. He had surgery, orthopedic surgery on his foot. And so he came in a boot. Really, really awesome guy. I know he's dealt with some things, as we all have. So when you look him up, or like when you look me up, try to look beyond the smut that they put into news articles, because you'd be surprised. Well, some of you won't be surprised at the lies therein. Excuse me, but the point I'm making is that, so then at that time, Mayor Robbie Perkins, he attended, and I held the Fusion Cultural Awareness celebration. Let me show you this here. I've actually, and we're going to end with this. This is a perfect way to end. And we spent all this time on Idaho with part 2. So, just work with me. We'll get to the next state. And I think we were going to New Mexico is what I said earlier. But yeah, so the Fusion Cultural Awareness Celebration. See that there? And I keep this on my refrigerator. And actually, I misspoke. I said 2013. It was in 2012. This is before I ran for office. And I ran for office in part because of this, because of how they took one occurrence in his life, and he was doing such positive things, because sometimes you can have a very negative past, and then you make a shift. And I'm not saying that he had a negative past. I'm just saying that I think it was unfair to take one aspect of his life that he was going through and to use that and exaggerate that, and take away the emphasis on all the positive things that he was doing. Because I don't think he was doing all the positive things for smoke and mirrors, but who knows? We just have to, and this is why we have to stay engaged, because if you're engaged in the process of, the political elections, then you establish relationships with these people. And then, generally, if they're, on the right side of justice, right? You don't have to wonder, you don't have to do quick research on them when it's time to vote. You know them, and you don't have to be fooled by news articles that are driven by corrupt counter campaigns, maybe for the corrupt Republicans or maybe sometimes corrupt Democrats. It happens, right? You can say, no, I know that person. They are high. We can go ahead and re-elect them, or we can elect them for the first time. This is where we need to be, honey. This is where we need to be. So I'm going to end on this note. I am very, very pleasantly surprised, and I feel enlightened. I feel like I have grown. This is the first legislative culture survey that we've taken where I felt like I have grown. Now there's several other states where it definitely was notable, and I published that on my Facebook page. But this time, like, I feel warm and fuzzy, and I'm very, very, very delighted that this was our return to the 52-week series on how to implement a more perfect union. And look out for this. The people that worked with me on it was a joint venture by several entrepreneurs out of Greensboro, North Carolina, the surrounding areas, and it was amazing. We had representation from so many different cultures, and I let them decide on what they wanted to share about their culture. And it was an awesome event. Awesome event. Do good just because. Eradicating prejudice, celebrating differences. Concerning the human race, there is no such thing as primary colors. Who are you? You know what I'm saying? All right, y'all. Well, let me get on out of this. Let me stop sharing there. Whew. I am Tigress Sydney Acute McDaniel, and it is always my pleasure, my absolute pleasure, to bring you positive content, non-toxic, positive content. Join me next week for yet another session of Evolve Weekly, a 52-week series on how to implement a more perfect union. Next week, we're headed to New Mexico.